In the small house that stood nestled between tall, imposing buildings in the heart of the slums, Amina sat, staring at the walls that had seen so many memories of her childhood. Her father's laughter, the playful shouts with her siblings, and the hardships they faced after his passing. All of it filled the air like an old song. "Amina, hurry up. Your in-laws will be here soon," her mother called from the kitchen, breaking her thoughts. Amina quickly wiped away a tear and responded, "Yes, Mama," though she could feel her nerves tighten in her chest. Today was the day she would marry Tunde, a wealthy businessman from the city. Though his wealth and influence were far beyond her family's reach, she had agreed to marry him. It was a deal made for the sake of her mother and siblings, who were barely making ends meet after her father's passing. Her mother had always said, "Tunde is a good man. He loves you and has helped us when we were in need. It's the least you can do for the family." Amina's heart had heavy burdens, but her duty to her family kept her from protesting. Amina first met Tunde 6 months ago. She had been resting under the shade of a tree by the roadside after picking fruits, exhausted from the long day's work, when he first approached her. "Why are you sitting here all alone? Is everything all right?" he had asked, his concern genuine as he walked toward her. That simple question marked the beginning of a chain of events that would change her life forever. Tunde had shown her kindness from the start. He showered her family with gifts, paid their debts, and often offered them money, sometimes without them even asking. Soon, Tunde began proposing marriage, but Amina was hesitant. She had dreams of furthering her education. But her mother had insisted, "Amina, how can you think of education when your father is gone and we're struggling? Tunde is a good man. He's rich, kind, and has been supportive. If he wants to marry you, you should be thankful." With a heavy heart, Amina had agreed. Her mother's convincing words echoed in her mind as she walked down the aisle. Her heart weighed down with confusion and uncertainty. As the ceremony began, Amina looked at her mother, who gave her an encouraging nod. "You're doing the right thing," her mother whispered, and though Amina tried to smile, her heart ached. Tunde's grip on her hand was too firm, almost possessive, but she brushed the feeling aside. After the vows were exchanged, Tunde's behavior began to change. He no longer spoke kindly to her, but instead, his tone became demanding and controlling. "Amina, make sure you don't embarrass me in front of my guests," he whispered sharply during their reception, tightening his grip on her arm. At first, Amina thought it was just nerves, but the weeks that followed confirmed her fears. Tunde was not the man he had appeared to be. He belittled her, reminding her daily of how he had rescued her from poverty. He compared her to his other friends, women who were more obedient, more elegant, and more everything he wanted. One day, Ngozi, Amina's only friend, came to visit. Ngozi was bold, outspoken, fiercely independent. "Amina, you look pale. Are you okay?" she asked, concern evident on her face. Amina hesitated and tried to smile, but she couldn't hide the bruises on her arm where Tunde had hit her the night before. Ngozi was quick to notice. "Amina, you know you can talk to me. Don't let him control you like this. You deserve better." But Amina only nodded, her heart filled with fear. She couldn't bear to lose her family's support. Tunde had warned her about seeing Ngozi too often, accusing her of putting ideas into Amina's head. Days passed, and Tunde's temper grew worse. He forbade Amina's mother from visiting, calling her a beggar, and ordering Amina to send her away. The tension between them grew unbearable. Then Amina found out she was pregnant. The news should have filled her with joy, but instead she felt dread. When she told Tunde, he barely reacted. "Pregnant? So what?" he muttered, still glued to his phone. "Pregnancy is no excuse to be lazy. My mother gave birth to 8 children and never complained." Amina continued to endure, her love for her unborn child the only thing that kept her going. The day Amina's labor pains began, she was terrified. "Tunde, it's time. I need to go to the hospital," she whispered, but he shook his head. "No, women give birth at home. My mother did it like this." "You're not special," he replied coldly, ignoring her cries for help. Hours of agony passed, and Amina's condition worsened. Finally, after much pleading, Tunde reluctantly agreed to take her to the hospital, but only because his pride was at stake. At the hospital, the doctors immediately recognized the severity of Amina's condition. "She needs an emergency C-section," one doctor said urgently. But Tunde refused. "No. She will deliver naturally like every other woman," he insisted. The doctors tried to reason with him, but he remained firm. Amina's life hung in the balance. In Chinonso, Amina's old friend received a frantic call from a neighbor. She rushed to the hospital and found Tunde standing outside the delivery room. His arms crossed in anger. "What's going on?" Chinonso demanded. "They want to perform unnecessary surgery." "I won't allow it," Tunde replied coldly. "Amina could die if you don't let them help her. Think about the baby," Chinonso pleaded. But Tunde was unmoved. Chinonso pushed past him and rushed into the delivery room. "Doctor, please save my friend," she cried. The doctors, sensing the urgency, immediately moved forward with the C-section, ignoring Tunde's protests. Hours later, both Amina and the baby were safe. Amina awoke to find Chinonso sitting beside her, holding her hand. "You're okay." "Thank God," Chinonso whispered, tears streaming down her face. The next few weeks were full of turmoil. Tunde's behavior remained unchanged. He tried to make amends with Amina, bringing gifts and begging for forgiveness, but Chinonso was suspicious, and Amina hesitated. Tunde's kindness seemed sincere, but the past still haunted her. One day, after one of Tunde's visits, Chinonso confronted Amina. "Do you really believe he's changed?" she asked. "I don't know, Chinonso. I want to believe he has," Amina whispered, torn between her emotions. But Chinonso warned her. Not all fathers deserve to be in their children's lives. Despite Chinonso's warnings, Amina began to soften, and Tunde's attempts to win her back grew more frequent. Finally, Amina agreed to return to Tunde's house. First, everything seemed perfect. He was kind, attentive, and helped with the baby. But soon Tunde's true nature reappeared. He became demanding again, expecting the house to be perfect and treating Amina cruelly. One evening, after yet another violent outburst, Amina decided she had had enough. She confronted him, but Tunde's anger erupted again. He slapped Amina across the face, sending her crashing to the floor. Chinonso grew worried when she hadn't heard from Amina. She went to check on her and found Amina lying motionless on the floor, the baby crying beside her. Amina was rushed to the hospital, but it was too late. She had passed away. Chinonso reported the incident to the authorities. Tunde fled but was eventually found and arrested. Amina's family regretted forcing her into a marriage that led to her untimely death, but they knew it was too late to undo the pain. Chinonso took in Amina's daughter, Ngozi, and vowed to raise her with love and strength, just as Amina had always shown. Despite the past, Chinonso was determined to make sure that the child knew the truth about her mother, about the courage, strength, and love she had shown, even when life was at its hardest.